Warning.
You are now tuned in to 7 Mile Radio. 7 Mile Radio.
What's going on, everybody? We are live on the air right now, man. We have a very, very, very special Business Spotlight podcast for y'all today, man. You know who I am, man. It's Mark D, and I have my partner, Lady K, is in the building with me today, conducting this interview. And I have a very special guest with me today. This lady is somebody that's very needed in our community. As you know, education is one of the very, I want to say, weak points in our community. I mean, especially in the city of Detroit, and she can expound on some of those statistics and some of those situations that we're gonna talk about today. I want y'all to introduce or invite or thank my sister, Tissua Franklin, for coming by the studio today. She is an educator and the owner of PurposefulEducations.com. And tell us a little bit about what you do. I know, but just tell a little bit about what you're doing and what you're putting together for the community, sister.
Well, thank you so much for having me, both of you. I'm so grateful to be here with you all and talk a little bit about literacy. I am a literacy teacher by trade. I started off in Hamtramck Public Schools as a reading specialist for 97% Arabic children. And I've been teaching for over 20 some odd years, and right now my focus is on literacy. In Detroit only. Are we still just talking about myself?
No,
We're talking all about you. We're
In
talking
Detroit.
all about
What
you.
you do in the city. Yes, that's what we're here to talk
In
about.
Detroit, there's only 1% of children are prepared for kindergarten. So they're coming into the school district not prepared.
And that's in Detroit.
In Detroit. In Detroit.
And what was the percentage again?
Only 1% of children are prepared for kindergarten. And you know, kindergarten is an illegal grade. Your kids don't have to go to preschool
By choice.
right? And then the curriculum that they use, which is called creative curriculum. There's only 3 curriculums that are allowed in the city of Detroit, in the state of Michigan, actually, for preschool. And there's 3 different preschool programs. Right, there is early Head Start.
Right.
There is GSRP, Great Start Readiness Program.
Is that pre-K?
That's pre-K,
Okay.
4-year-olds.
Okay.
And then you can have your own private daycare, which is what I own. So
Wait, what's the name of your daycare?
the name of my daycare is School of Purpose, where we create children of purpose. Yes.
And where are you located at?
We're at 2328 East 7 Mile Road, across the street from Solomon's Temple, inside of the Chosen Generation building.
Look at there. Do you have openings available?
We do have a few openings available still, maybe about 2 or 3 more seats.
Oh, look at you, Miss Educator.
Yeah, we only take about 15 kids. Literacy is our number one thing, so our kids go to the library once every other week. If we are unable to make it down to the library for any reason, the librarian comes to us. Her name is Ms. Wilkinson, right here at 7 Mile and at the Wilder Branch, right here.
Oh,
At
yeah,
7
that's
Mile.
right around the corner.
Oh, well, shout her name out again.
Her name is Miss Wilkinson.
Shout out to Miss
Wilkinson,
Wilkinson.
that's
So she
right.
delivered the books to you guys. If you
She
can't get
will
there.
come down to us, but we like to come to her because
Okay.
she prepares not only a reading for us. So normally she reads us 2 books. She plays games with the kids, like you heard of this. The floor is lava.
Yes, yes,
They
yes,
love
yes.
that to do that with her.
Okay.
And she also has a little area where they can go and do pretend play for like in the kitchen, or like they're making stuff and stuff like that.
So your daycare is not just about your children being dropped off and being watched.
Nothing like
Your
that.
children is being fed good, loved on by big mamas.
Yes, they're
and
being
being
fed
taught.
good by Miss Sherry, and they're being taught as well. So I do all the curriculum for it. We do have a creative curriculum for kindergarten that we use.
Okay.
But I definitely teach the teacher how to teach. So she has the childhood development part, and I have the literacy part. So together we work as a good team to make sure those kids. We also offer karate because we believe in self-discipline. We teach our
Yes.
children to follow the fruits of the spirit. That's our discipline, or
Okay.
that's our social emotional learning. So they have to learn how to love, how to be kind, how to be gentle. And we teach that through sign language. So we teach them, they all know their alphabets and sign language. They know these words, love and sign language. They know those things.
So now, before we go too far, will anyone be able to say we're more spiritual at your daycare than anything? So we're not up under a certain religion or domination. It's all about spiritual, and the words was fruit.
Fruit, I said the fruit of the spirit.
Okay.
So,
Yes.
and yeah, like, so that's a terminology that we wouldn't normally use in the public school system, which
right.
is really weird because that's how I got my job. I'm working for Detroit Public School teaching the kindergarten. And I mentioned to the principal who was interviewing me that I teach by the fruits of the spirit.
My
you
sister,
just
hold
happen
on,
to
my
be
sister.
a PK.
My sister, you got a daycare going on to teach these babies to come into the class that you're teaching in kindergarten right now for the Detroit Public Schools.
Yes.
What school you at? Can you talk to school?
I am. I'm at Mark Twain.
Okay.
Mark Twain over on Viscar.
Yes.
Shout out to Dr. Heads over there.
Okay. Now, how long you been working with the
I
Detroit
have
Public?
been there for 2.5 weeks.
Okay,
So
so
it's brand new.
you putting your foot in the door.
Brand new.
Are you excited? Are
I'm
you still
excited to be there. They had one classroom of kindergartners.
Okay.
They had 34 kids in the classroom.
Okay.
If I can shout out this teacher as well. Her name is Miss Latarsky, Kelly Latarsky. She was over there with 34 children. 34 children. And she was doing an excellent job.
beautiful?
An excellent job. And so now we've broken her classroom up, and now
Okay.
we have two, and now me and her are working as a team.
It's not so much on her by herself.
And
gotta-
and they can actually get down to the nitty gritty of learning.
See,
So
I
it's
love
we can do small groups now, and we can do a lot of fluency with them, and they're actually starting to pick up things and get them moving ahead.
So we got this daycare going for preschool. We have kindergarten going. I was told by a little birdie about a book you also working on as well.
Yes, I am
Let's
at
talk
the
about it.
final stages of the book called 100 Ways to Teach Your Child to Read. And they're all the small things I do in the classroom.
Okay.
They're based off of strategies that Orton Gillingham use, and it's really simple ways to get kids to learn, so that when I'm teaching them their name, I'm not just teaching them how to write Tissua,
Right.
but we might take some clips, and I might have some clothespins with the
Okay.
letters on them, and they have to clip.
Are you going old school with them?
Yeah, then I might have letters laid out, and they've got to pick out their letter.
Okay.
So they saying, oh, it's a D. Oh, it looks like this. Oh, it's a
Beautiful.
capital. Oh, it wants a lowercase. So they're actually,
Hands on.
Yeah,
And
very
it's
hands-on.
sticking versus just learning something and then it goes a waste later on. It's something that's sticking.
yeah. So that I'm not just in the classroom teaching, because
Okay.
teachers are teaching all the time,
Right.
but kids are learning. Like, I'm in a classroom where people are learning.
Now, learning, you're an educator. What is it that inspired you to go and just teach? Because it takes a lot for you to be into the teaching circle. And everyone isn't equipped to become a teacher. What is it that inspired you to just even come out and embracing people that you didn't know and wanting to teach them?
Oh, that's a good question, because I grew up, I wanted to be an accountant. I went to school to be an accountant.
So you're good with the numbers, huh? Okay,
Yeah,
Mom.
that's right. I like that. I
Okay.
like money. So, but I went to Michigan State, and education was something my grandmother pushed on me. My grandmother raised me. My mom was really young. I mentioned that earlier to you. That my mom was 15. My dad was 17. They were really, really young, and so my grandmother took on that responsibility.
Okay.
And she used to always say, go to college like your cousin Dina. Go to college like your cousin Tanya. I didn't even know them.
Right.
Like, I knew they was they was my cousin.
And they
but
was the
were
ones that went to
older,
college.
And they were going to college. I didn't know them. They were going to college. So
Right.
I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go to school. I went to private school.
Okay.
I went to St. Florian. I went to
did
Peterson
you?
Warren Academy.
Okay. I had an
So
auntie that came out of there.
Did you?
Okay, yes.
Okay, St. Florian?
Yes.
Yes. So only 1 year public school. So I
Okay.
knew education was important because
Very.
she wasn't my mother. She was my grandmother.
So you knew it was very important.
And she was spending her extra money
Mm-hmm.
on me to go to school. Now, I don't know what you like to do with your extra money.
Okay. But it ain't got to be on no education and for nobody to be failing on no
Right,
education.
and
I'm
for
putting my
somebody
money.
else, right? Your
That's
extra money,
right.
you earn it. You want
That's
to spend it on yourself.
And grandma to put it into you.
And she put it on me. So I went to school, and when I got to Michigan State, and this is how I know God is, He does a gift. So I was in accounting. I had been 4-pointing in high school, accounting classes. I was doing it.
Go ahead,
I got to
girl.
Michigan State, and I was failing. I was studying for hours, and I was just flunking. And I was like, what in the world? And
What
so
was it? What was it that had you stuck?
my professor told me that when I graduated in 4 years, that there won't be enough jobs for accounting. There was too many people who wanted to be accountants. So that he had to make the class extra hard to weed out those students.
Do you know the name of that professor?
I don't know his name.
That's an awesome professor.
He did that though.
But that's the truth. For him to tell you the truth.
He did tell me the
Because when I
truth.
went into billing and coding, my professor told me the same thing. When you get done, I want you to move on. Because this job ain't going to be important.
So that's what happened. Then I got into the college of education.
Awesome.
And I just flourished. It was easy. It was easy. I did not study very hard. Everything just
It was just
floated.
natural. It was something
It was
that was your
natural.
natural.
It was really
This is your natural calling.
It
This
was
is your,
my natural
would
calling.
you say this is your calling?
This is definitely my gift God gave to me.
It's a blessing for you to know your calling, but then also be able to work into it as well.
Yeah, and it's important that you had that passion for teaching as opposed to just getting into it for the
The
career
money, yeah.
wise up, you know what I mean? Because we can think about other industries or other places where people work where it's just for the money and they're not worried about the quality of the product that they're there to produce or the people that they're serving.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
All the way up, I don't care if it's fast food or all the way up to the president of the
That's
United
right.
States. Right? We can see the difference in people who have a passion for what it is
And
that
love
they're
what they
doing.
doing.
You know what I mean? Versus somebody that's just there for the money. So and I see that and I hear
You can
that.
you can
in
tell
your
it.
conversation.
You can
I mean,
tell it.
like,
What
like
is
when I get yeah, most definitely. Yeah, when I get my youngest, I'm definitely gonna talk to you about some read with some educational pointers.
That book, would you say your book is safe to say that there's a lot of families that still have their children in virtual? And for with Mark having the baby coming up in this society now, would you say it's safe to say that your book is a good learning tool for parents?
Yes. Not only is it a good learning tool for parents, because I wrote it literally for the 4th grade educated parent or the 5th grade educated parent. You don't have to be, a
brain
scientist,
or
right, to do
yeah,
these
right.
things. They're simple, they're easy. Because, see, I don't think parents understand that before 3rd grade, your child is learning to read. After third grade, they are reading to learn. So there's a switch where at first I'm teaching you letters and sounds and how to segment words and all these things,
Put 'em together.
phonemic awareness, fluency. But after that, I'm not gonna do that. It's pull out your science book, pull out your social studies book. Let's read
And
this
you're
story.
right.
Let's get this.
You're right.
Let's comprehend. Let's make a Venn diagram of the same and the differences. Let's make let's do a Venn diagram on what is the problem or the climax of a story. They're not talking anymore about aces, and you put C.
Because they're not even doing cursive in school anymore, are they?
Man.
Well, they stopped cursive because of the high stake testing.
Say it one more
High
time.
stake testing. Right, so now they have to take those exams, right? That's how we
We're
know.
talking about ACT, those tests?
Yes, but
Okay.
we also have testing at 3rd grade. 3rd grade, we start testing children. We can already decide how they're going to do on those ACTs
you
because at 3rd grade we
serious?
start testing.
My son he's in the 1st grade.
Okay.
And he scored in the top 96 percentile in the country in reading and math. He's
Wow.
doing
They
third,
already
So
testing that young?
he's going third. He's doing 3rd grade level
Well,
reading. and
congratulations
math.
on that, though, Mark. Yeah.
So there's a 3rd grade reading law that was supposed to be implemented so long. Where if you are one level below grade level in 3rd grade, then they would fail you.
Are y'all tuned to this? Hold on. Say this one more time.
If your child is reading one grade level before below
grade,
their
at the
level,
3rd grade
below
level.
their level. So if they're reading at 2nd grade level and they're one grade level below in reading, then they're supposed to be retained. And that was supposed to be implemented the year we had the pandemic.
So that pandemic stopped
It
that.
stopped it. That would have been over 3,000 Detroit public school 3rd graders. 3,000 of them. Because at 3rd grade, I said only 1% of kindergartners are prepared for kindergarten. Only 10% of our 3rd graders are reading by 3rd grade. So now that's 8 years old. So what do you think happens to them at 18? This is our city.
Now, when you come to your education level, how far along the Richter scale of you teaching children? Like, what grades did you teach?
I have taught all of the grade levels, K through 12, but my specialty is elementary. And I've done Calumet Juvenile Detentional Facility. I've taught in Dubai. I taught over in Dubai for 3 years as well. And when you talk about, giving kids things that they enjoy reading, and you talk about a system that is behind, their system is behind. Their system is way behind.
No, when you say there,
and when you talk about
Detroit,
no, I'm talking about the Emiratis, right? I'm talking about the Emiratis because we're 200 years into education. They're 40 years into it. That's a big difference.
It's a very big difference.
It's a big difference, and we're still failing.
Right.
We're still failing kids, so they're gonna still be failing kids for a lot longer. And when you talk about doing it for the money, I could stay and do it for the money because the money is good. But that was one of the reasons I
where
left.
the money is better, but you see the need here. You see the
That's
void.
right here.
This need.
Our need is here. Our need is here, and I'm grateful to be able to. You asked me about being over at Mark Twain.
Yeah.
So I've encountered 17 more little babies up underneath my wing.
Okay, congratulations.
And, yes, I'm so excited to help them reach some of their academic goals so they can have some choices in life.
What would you say would be the hardest part as a teacher, a person that's an educator, a person that's reaching out to these children? What would be the hardest part for you as an educator?
The hardest part of education is fighting against all of the barriers that prevent you from actually achieving.
Give me your top 3 barriers. Let's be honest, because these parents need to understand.
I mean, yeah, because about to say you right.
These
there in the
parents need
field.
to understand, especially if it involves these parents.
Touching on something that I was going to ask her later on in the conversation when I started. But go ahead, yeah. That's
So parents are a big barrier. You know, they could be your biggest strength, but when they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing as parents, they could be your biggest barrier.
Let's talk about that.
So
what are they not supposed? What they should be doing if they not?
Come out.
Hands on.
Come out. Check on what's going on. Understand your position because you're really running things. But there's nobody seated at that table to run the things. So like when I work for Hamtramck, or when you go to some of these school districts, Sterling Heights, Troy, where they have, good academics, test scores, those parents are there at the school board meeting. Those parents are giving extra through their taxes so that you have materials that you might need.
So, for example, when they send that material list out to these parents and they're asking for a sanitizer, wipes, crayons, it is not that they're asking for you to gouge off. It's a small thing that they're asking that we can make sure these kids are equipped. So parents, when you get this list, don't just throw it away. Even if you just pick 2 off this list, it will help these classes out, right?
Because if you think about it, if you all could get those little things, then maybe the district can now spend money on those extra things that we had to get rid of. Music,
it makes
bands.
a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Because if the school is free anyway, you're not paying for it, because the parents that choose to put their kids in private schools, they're coming out of money, right? But if your child for free,
for free. Breakfast is for free. Did you know breakfast was started by the Black Panther?
Yeah.
Yes, I did. But for those who don't know, could you educate?
Yes.
Could you educate those who do not understand where the school lunching program come from?
The school lunches come from when the Black Panthers got together. They could do something that no other group of people could do. They could gather the people, and the way that they gathered the people was to feed them,
breaking bread,
educate them. Yes, so they broke bread and they gave out free breakfast. Well, that started the school district because they was like, oh, those people know how to get the people together. Oh, they can bring them. Let us take over this, and they took over free breakfast and they made it their own.
And so that count day has a lot to do with it. It's all
different
about
now, right?
It's all about the money.
They gave eggs and bacon and sausage, and today you got yogurt and a muffin.
If you getting that.
What were you saying? I'm sorry.
If you getting that. No, you telling the truth, Mama. I appreciate you.
That's why I'm just sitting back.
You telling the truth. Seriously. So I'm going back to your barriers that you face as an educator. We were talking about I asked, the question was what was the hardest thing for you to do as an educator? And your 3 biggest, so parents, the biggest thing is parents being active, coming out. Parents. Stop just dropping them off and pulling off. Get yourself together, come in. Sometimes sit in on the class with, sometimes come in on paint day or Halloween day.
Come share what you do. What do you do? Share your talents with the kids.
And if you ain't doing it, then grab the cousin that is.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Give me
so
two
we
more
know
barriers.
what to do.
Give me
two
some
more
barriers.
We're also fighting against a system.
So break that down
And
for
this,
us.
this is the part where I can get into some trouble. So I think we're fighting against the system because everybody isn't failing.
No, they're not.
And
Some
we've
just need
been
help.
given a lot of money to continue to fail.
Is it safe to say when we talk about just pushing kids along?
Pushing them along. They don't really matter a lot. I don't know if you knew this, but there is a group of students who actually filed a lawsuit against Detroit Public School.
What?
It's Detroit versus, it's the kids versus the name of the lawyer, but it was versus Gretchen.
So now what was the lawsuit about? What were they suing for?
They're suing for the fact that they did not learn how to read. They're suing, and they cite being in abandoned buildings that are too cold, buildings in the winter they're too cold, in the summer they're too hot. They cite things like not having teachers who know how to teach, who are certified teachers.
Well, now we're gonna talk about it. That's why Highland Park High School got closed down.
I worked for Highland Park.
That's why, because I went through the middle school, and I tell you now,
I worked there. I was laid off
Hey.
from Hamtramck for a little while, and I went to
Northwest High
Highland
School.
Park.
I know some schools that all you had to do was show up.
So Highland Park did it to themselves, right?
Yes, they did.
We did it to ourselves.
Yes, we did.
And it's hurtful. It's really hurtful.
How so do you feel like, and let me just explain the situations, how so it was done?
To and
How was that
fro.
a self-inflicted wound there?
Because we have government officials who are in charge of the money here and who are putting this money in their pockets and not spending this money on the kids. So when you have a school district where the kids don't have books, you don't have a curriculum?
So guess what? The reason why I teach media arts and I do podcast production workshops with the Job Corps students, right? So the program actually got cut off last month because the guy that's in head of the finances got caught stealing money. So that's the reason why I haven't been, doing my podcast production workshop for
Sorry
the last
to hear
month and a
that.
half.
See,
But they just over
doing
the,
it to ourselves. Look how many kids you've cut off from learning something that could literally
You putting this
change
money in
their
your
lives.
pocket when this money should have either went towards either just safety for them to come into the school.
So this is what I say. So it's Lansing who's sending that money. Okay, so the money is going the wrong way. I don't know this. I don't know because I'm in my dissertation mode now.
We ain't gonna go that far.
Degree. But I'm just saying I can't say that it's sabotage, or what's the other word we can use when they're allowing us to do it to ourselves. It's like, okay, we're not gonna get you in jail for that. Keep on doing
It's like
it.
giving you enough rope to hang yourself.
Yeah, keep on doing it, because as long as you're doing it, 10 years from now, what will happen? One time I was in Davidson Elementary School where I did my principalship with Miss Diane Holland, and at that time she had a guy coming from he was coming from the juvenile detention facility.
Okay.
And he said, my boss allows me, he was talking to this group of 6th, 7th, 8th grade. My boss allows me to come and do these, he's paying me to come down and do this because he owns the jails. He owns the juvenile detention facility, but he lives someplace in Asia. But he allows me to do this to help keep you out, because this is what I told him I had to do. If I was going to run his jail,
right.
you're going to let me go and teach these people not to come here. So here I am, but let me let you know. He's building more jails.
So if you don't listen to me.
Because they're taking statistics on the clothes you wear, the music you listen to.
The liquor you drinking.
So they can decide that in 10 years, we know where you'll be. And we'll be earning that money. So not just for me, for my kids, my grandkids, they'll be earning that money from you all.
Now, this has not been something that just started. We all know that this system is designed for a lot to fail. When you broke through your cracks and you decided you wasn't going to fail, you decided to go into education, right? So we've talked about books. We've talked about daycares. We talked about schools. Give me some of your other avenues, some of the things that you worked on to not only keep yourself out of that loop, but to stay focused, you know, because as an adult, I'll tell anybody, you got to have an extracurricular activity to keep you out of what I say, the slums. So give me something else what else are you doing outside of all this education that you doing?
Somebody said I was a lifelong educator. I'll be doing education for all my life. So other things that I might do.
Or things that you got coming up right now.
So hopefully we'll be starting a school soon.
Okay.
We're working with Mr. Maurice Evans, who owns Service Learning Academy, Redford Service Learning Academy, and Oak Park Service Learning Academy.
Yes.
He picked up Bussy out in Southfield. He is ran, or the university that oversees his school is Lake Superior University,
So
and they have been,
definitely in the works.
Yes,
Okay.
they have been given he's been given permission to open for me.
Congratulations.
So we will open up the first school of Purpose. And
are you looking for it to be here in Detroit?
I am looking for it to be here in Detroit,
Okay.
but
depending on dynamics and things of that nature.
because
Business
Detroit
is
owns
business.
these schools.
I understand.
And, yep, so
and sometimes we might have a vision, but sometimes politicians
not.
and things like that might stop us.
because
but
we
it ain't
wanted
gonna
to
stop
be
you.
right there, 2328 East 7 Mile Road, but they have
Okay.
said no to us several times. They want a regular traditional.
Well, we're gonna put it
building.
in the Lord's hand.
Put out there in the
Okay,
air,
because
Lord.
one no don't mean
and
no.
everybody pray for us.
Yes,
pray
most
for us.
definitely.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations on that adventure. Is there anything else that you're doing right now? I know you got your foot in the mud. So how deep you got it? What is you doing, sister?
I'm at Walden University. I'm doing my doctorate degree.
Okay.
I'm getting that in reading and assessment.
Congratulations.
So my hope is to do my dissertation on giving parents. I want to touch kids at 2 and 3 years old. You know, we always saying
That's that
they come
impressionable
here
age.
knowing they come here knowing more.
But it's also
They
about
know
what you're
more than
teaching them.
and they do know more.
They do.
So I want to catch the 2 and 3 year olds. I want to give the parents a strategy that they can do at home. Give them a video recording so we can see them do it, record that, and see what kind of effect they'll have in preschool. What kind of effect would that have in kindergarten?
Now you making me take away from my term. I used to say, and I have to stop it today because you're making a believer out of me. I used to say that there was no tools for adulthood or parenting, and you're giving us some tools for parenting.
There is,
and I appreciate you because I mean, where do we go? I mean, every kid is different with learning. I had 2 different children, and one kid picked it up like that. Another one, it depended on what was taught to that child and who taught it on how they picked it up. So for us as parents being at home, because this new education, I want to ask you about this, because back when we were in school, 1 + 1 equal 2, right? So I have a 13-year-old, and back when he was in elementary, he brought some math home to me, and it was some branches and some more branches, and then there was some more branches. Now I got some education. I went past high school, and I felt stupid. So I wanna understand or get an understanding, and at least to these parents as well that has a little bit of education up under their belt, and they got these great kids, students coming home with this new method of learning.
Oh wow.
I want to tell y'all be patient, but can you give us a little insight on what's going on with that particular type of teaching or the mind frame behind this new particular type of method of teaching? Because it's different.
Yeah. So but what we're finding now is that we have a lot of different kids sitting in our classrooms. We used to have the same kid, right? A bunch of the same kids from the same neighborhood, but now there's a diverse group of kids in the classroom, and so as different as we are is as different as we learn the strategies that we might have to use.
Right.
So I love to teach my kids all the different strategies to do math because their parents are at home doing the traditional way, and they some of them can catch on with the traditional way, but the traditional way was hard. It was hard. So if I could teach a kid how to use their 5s and their 10s to do this multiplication problem or this division problem, this long division problem, I could teach them to put this number into 25 instead of into 265, and then to take it and put it into the smaller number, then they might catch on faster. They might learn it a little bit easier. And because they're different, you don't know which one. So I would be in class in the 4th or 5th grade class, and I've got a group doing the traditional way. I've got a group doing it this other way, and another group. I saw on Facebook the other day another one where they were just subtracting one number, taking that number, subtracting from the second. I was like, yes, another way, we can do it.
You know what? And that's why I try to teach. My issue right now is trying to get my son to show his work, his process. You know what I mean? Because he get it in his head. Like even when it comes to like I taught him how to read a face clock recently because I heard that they don't teach face clocks.
Yeah, they don't no more.
You know what I'm saying? Because of course, a lot of clocks are digital.
Yeah,
now.
they
Still,
are.
it's just important to know stuff
you didn't
like
know.
that.
It's
Just like
so
y'all
important to know face
brought
clock.
up,
I still teach that too.
cursive handwriting earlier. But yeah, it's like the process that that you use to get to your solution and get to your answer. Because you'll never know. Like this process may end up become standard.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Years later,
Yep.
just like how now we looking at the process of how the simple addition math problem is completely different than what we.
It is.
But this is somebody else's process and what they. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That
Back
they
then.
used.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then with
And
your
it
baby
made-
coming
and it
through
made
like
sense
high
enough.
school, you got some teachers are gonna say, "I'm not gonna take your answer because I want to know how
Yeah,
you got
did
it."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's the one thing I liked about math was that if it was the right answer, it was the right answer. And with language arts, it could be a different answer.
And it can because you can use different words and still come up with the
that's
same
what
meaning.
This is subjective, but with math, if I came up with the right answer, as long as I showed my work the way I did it, how I got there, you should accept
So
that
parents,
answer.
for y'all listening, pass the word along. The new method of teaching is not something to punish y'all. Because
something to help.
I felt like it was like directed
you
towards
at home,
me.
Because you at home feeling inadequate.
I felt so
Because you
stupid.
can't feel- and now you need to punish the kid because you feel good. No,
And then y'all just-
learn from the kid.
But
And
then-
just go on a YouTube video.
You should have seen my baby look at me though. He was like, "You don't know this."
Go on YouTube.
And
search
that's exactly
out-
what I did. I had to go on YouTube and get the oldest kid to come downstairs and say, "Hey."
Because at least with numbers is a pattern.
And that's what the biggest thing is. But
Yeah,
like you
yeah.
said, it's a breakdown because you can use that even if it ain't the math problem. The procedure of getting the answer is something you can use later on in life.
That's right. It's the process. The process. Yeah. So if I could tell parents one thing that they can do to push literacy in their home, I would say read.
Really.
15 minutes. Make your child read for 15 minutes. If you got babies who are in the womb, babies begin to function in the womb right at conception. And I'll say this, that if they're conceived in a negative environment where two people didn't really love one another, that's going to have an effect on them later on. And if you could start reading to them in the womb, playing your Mozart music, I don't know why Mozart works, but playing
It's soothing.
it's
It's
soothing.
soft.
It's soft. If you could begin at that time, just 15 minutes of reading. That's the one thing in my book I say first off.
Okay.
It's 15 minutes of reading. You don't have to do nothing else in this book. If you do 15 minutes of reading, it's going to increase fluency. It's going to increase vocabulary. And it's going to increase their love for reading.
I love it. Let me ask your opinion as an educator because they've come out now with this new Kindle thing. I've seen a lot of people literally tapping off into this Kindle thing. Me personally, I'm a book person. If you walk into my living room, I have a stand that there's books on. I have my children's old book library from them being kids, Dr. Seuss on up. I still do books. I still like
books,
I
Dr.
still
Seuss.
love the whole turn another page. But we've come into society of everything being quick. You as an educator, do you feel it's the same as you reading versus listening?
Well, some of the digital pieces are beginning to have some pieces. I'm like you. I'm like old school. I like the book in my hand. I like to have me a piece of paper. I like to have a pen. I mark up my
like
books. I
bookmarks.
highlight
Yeah,
with close
yeah,
read.
yeah.
I like to do that. So you got new kids who didn't come up with the book.
Right.
That's why I be
Right.
going to the
Right.
library. So they're used to that. I say that I have to use whatever they need. Remember, I'm already educated. So I have to use whatever they need to help them become educated. So they're coming out with some new tools where the kids can highlight in those books, on those Kindles. They can write, make notes and stuff like that.
Okay.
And I know I used to, so one of the other things I used to do was I used to sell curriculum for Savage, previously known as Pearson.
Okay.
So I sold humanities and literacy curriculum for Savage for 7 states.
Okay.
Michigan, Illinois, Minnesota,
Oh, wow.
Indiana,
Okay.
East and South Dakota, North and South Dakota.
So what is for specific grade levels or
I sold K through 12.
Okay.
I sold K through 12. We had one social studies curriculum we were pushing, and we had 2 literacies we were pushing, My View and Ready Chin.
Okay.
So that gave me a lot of opportunity to work with teachers.
Hands-on with them.
And to see the digital pieces, because it was during the pandemic time that I was working with them. And so with our books, you could highlight, you could annotate, and even our books they came out with even the ones that the kids took home with them.
Okay.
Had close reading on the side where it showed them go back in and maybe look for
This particular word or this particular highlighted sentence.
Yeah,
Okay.
but highlight a sentence.
Okay.
Yeah, and so that when they can interact with the text, because if you've gone to college before, you know that when you start to write in those books, you can still. I can go back to those books now.
That's
and be
right.
Like, oh yeah,
Yep,
I
'cause I
wrote
still
this
got some
little
of mine.
note, right?
Yep.
And I
Yep.
remember what I was talking about. So that helps retain information.
Okay. So it's safe to say that because we're in a tech world now, I mean, hey, don't knock it. You know, if that's getting you to learn, you know, Kindle is not a bad thing. Because if they're not picking up a book, why not go to Kindle? At least they're learning. It's a learning tool.
Education.com. Our kids are doing. What are they doing on a daily basis?
On that phone or on a tablet or on the computer.
So give them something fun that they can do that might cause them to learn, especially our middle school kids. Is there an app on how to teach them how to start a business? I need them to get busy with something. I need them to do something. Kids don't go on dates anymore.
But they
don't know how to socialize.
But they're not teaching. You know what's funny? I was sitting here. My son is 13, and I asked him. This was last year. I said, "You know how to mail a letter?" He said, "No, Mom, I don't." I said, "Sit down, son." And I put the envelope in front of him, and then I made me think about where I learned. I was at Wayne Elementary on the east side off of Outer Drive.
Okay.
They taught me how to write out. A teacher brought in envelopes, sat them down, and I remember this in elementary.
Something they cut off too.
They cut that
that was
out.
something that we did in first grade.
Yes.
Now, why they cut out the handwriting? I mentioned the big state test, and what they're saying is that we need more time in the day to teach them the stuff for this test, so we're going to cut out handwriting.
But what about a John Hancock or a signature?
Well, what they said was that that's the only time they need it. Other than that, nothing else is in handwriting.
But when are they going to be taught it, though?
But have you ever heard of the Waldorf School?
No.
There is one Waldorf School downtown in one of those big, beautiful Boston Indian Village homes.
Okay.
Waldorf School goes back to one room schooling, but it's very authentic there. Like, I visit the one in Tennessee. I literally cried when I left there. No computers there, but they were building computers in the 5th grade. They used a parent who was CEO of Apple or something like that. Came in, showed them how to build the computer, and they were learning how, if their app was working. Then there was one group who was outside. They were burning things to see at what temperature does it take to burn plastic or metal.
How much it costs for you to send your child to one of these schools? Give me a round. Give me a
hot
said it was some
That's how much it
CEO,
costs.
right? But they do have scholarships, and I do know a couple of Detroit public school kids who have gone through in the scholarship. Your kids have to go overseas. You have to take a music. You have to. There are certain things that they make you do.
And you know, it's so sad that people don't understand. So you have Detroit public schools, but people don't realize we have Detroit academies. And so I was a parent who chose to only take my kids to the academies in Detroit.
So what do you mean by that?
So like DLA, U Prep.
Okay, so those are charter schools.
I call them. Okay, the proper word is a charter school. Okay. Now, no, I did not have to pay for them to go there, but when it came to extracurricular activities, I did have to come out of pocket for. But my kids had classes, which is extracurricular activities like wood shop. Like both of my kids went through robotic classes.
So you know the difference between a charter school and a Detroit public school?
Well, yes, because I guess what I would say, I'm gonna say yes and no. What I do know, and I'm hoping that you teach me more, and our listeners and followers. From what I do understand is there is a private entity that has come in and is funding. That there is somebody that picked up a check. Am I right or wrong?
They didn't fund it.
Okay.
They didn't fund it.
Okay.
The state is still paying for it, just like the public school system.
Okay.
They're still paying for it. But just like I said, I'm working with Maurice Evans.
Okay.
What I'm going to do is form a charter school.
Gotcha.
A charter school has to be chartered by 3 entities. One of 3 entities.
Okay.
You can be chartered by the school district. You can be chartered by a university. Or a 2-year college, or you can be chartered by the local ISD. And the local ISD is in every county. So we have a Wayne County local ISD, Macomb County local ISD. And a local ISD is simply a place where most retired teachers go to work.
Okay.
They make a nice salary out there, but they're mostly gifted at what they did. Like they were, they've done it for 20 years,
right.
So they got a little branch out there for everybody. They got a special needs branch. They've got a literacy branch, a math branch, science. All of that is out there.
And all those particular people, they charter. So what is when you say
so what that means, they charter. Good question. I'm sorry. I hope I didn't cut you.
Nope, you're good. No, what does that mean
So
when you say
charter means that they're going to oversee you and make sure you follow all the rules that the government has for schools. So they oversee you. They don't get paid to do that. Okay. But they oversee you, and they make sure you follow all the rules that the state of Michigan has for this money they put to give you. They still get the same amount of money. I think it's like $9,000 per pupil.
So is it kind of like me saying, I'm going to put my name up and watch what you doing and let's get this money?
So you have to do a little bit more than that, because I've been trying to start that charter schools for
I'm just breaking it down for simple-minded people.
So you can. I'm just a regular Detroit public school person who's like, I want to start a charter school.
Okay.
So they have a list.
Okay.
You can go on the state of Michigan and say, I want to start a charter school, and they'll break down this list. Okay. You start doing it 1, 2, 3. So I've done everything on the list.
Okay.
Except for I need to be chartered by a university in order to get that money. Mm-hmm. So the university is being less lenient on giving those out because we've messed it up so bad, right? You had what was the governor before Gretchen? What was his name?
Rick Snyder.
Snyder.
Snyder came in and his people took over a bunch of Detroit public schools. And see, what Detroit had going bad for themselves is they had mismanaged their money. So they were, not only were they failing, but they didn't have any more money, and they owed a lot of money. So they closed down Detroit public schools.
A lot of them.
No, they closed down. Detroit public schools is shut down, and they reopened as Detroit community schools.
Girl, shut the noise. Didn't know that.
So now do you see it now? It says
yes,
Detroit community schools.
now that you saying it.
They shut down Detroit public schools and they opened up as Detroit community schools. Now they still have that little school entity because they still owe money with that name, right? But now they have Detroit community schools, and now they're working to make it better. And in the meantime, the charter schools are private entities. Okay. They are private entities that come in that get, and it was all about who you knew. Rick Snyder friends came in. They got schools
like I said,
right in the city.
Networking, who you know.
And I had teachers say, we went over there and there was no books. There was nothing for those kids. So they, again, took a lot of money.
Right. And did not apply it back into these babies.
It makes my heart
That's the problem.
sad.
It's the corruption on the top tier level.
So you ask the barrier. Because it's so high up. How, like when my cousin this has nothing to do, my cousin got killed. Well, she didn't get killed. She overdosed, and she's not an overdoser or whatever, but went to talk to the detective, and he said, well, this is what we do. Nobody's going to get in trouble for her overdosing, but, what we do is we got these hot spots, and if it's saturated in that area, then we'll start, doing drug raids over there. I said, but the drug is coming from all the way up at the top. It's coming from all the way up at the top. And they've said to themselves, it's not enough people dying over there, so we won't take the drugs off of this. We'll just leave them over there. There's not enough people over there dying yet, so we'll just leave them over there to keep dying. And I feel like that's what they say about our city, our inner city kids. And it's not just Detroit that's doing poorly, right? We've got Illinois, Chicago public schools is having a hard time. We've got, Minnesota? What's that? Minneapolis. They're having a hard time. You've got a lot of school districts who is fighting to bring their their kids' literacy. But literacy makes you smarter in every grade, in every subject area. If you can read, you have a chance at some things. And if you can comprehend, you have some chance at some things. You asked about technology. They're saying that kids aren't going to need to learn how to read because it's going to be read to them. So now they need to know what to do with the information that they receive. And that's all things that we teach in school.
So now when it comes to these barriers and just life in itself, I can tell that you are a God-fearing woman.
Number one.
Well, number one.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, what is something that you do? What is something that you personally as an educator, because I don't see sleep in your future or in your past. But what do you do as a person? Because I'm a person that's a firm believer that we have to have something to keep us going. And I see education enlightens you. But what's something else that when these barriers come to you and you like, you know what, Because I know you're human before anything.
Yeah, and I have meltdowns sometimes.
What outside of praying and meditation, what's something else you do? 'Cause I can tell you meditate and you pray.
I do, because I was gonna go right there about my daycare is across the street from Solomon's Temple, and I had Bishop Bonner as a pastor.
Okay.
And I just feel like all of the things that I went through as a child, like the fact that I didn't have a mother and I didn't have a father, and the fact that people gave and poured into me things that they didn't have to, I feel like I need to do that back. Like I need to give people that opportunity. God told me a long time ago, I don't have to waste my time on anybody who's not working to do what they're supposed to be doing. I don't spend my money on anybody who's not working to be doing what they're doing. But I do the same thing you all do to relax. I enjoy a libation or so. I go on vacation. I travel a lot. I'm on my way to Trinidad on the 28th to see my son. I have 2 boys, Cortez and Taylor. Cortez is 26. He's in the Marine. He's almost a staff sergeant.
Okay, congratulations,
yeah,
Mom.
so he's doing his thing. He works for the ambassador, so I'm going to hang out with him for a little while. He'll spoil me. And
Get
then
your
I got
queen them this
yeah,
mom.
I love it. And then our youngest one, Taylor, he's 22. He's Asperger's, but he is working over at the bowling alley out in Sterling Heights at Escapes Bowling Alley. He's cooking out there, and hopefully he's a gamer, so maybe you can help me with that. We can get him live streaming. He used to be so bad at it. He used to cry with his siblings all the time, how bad he was at it. Now they don't want to play him. That's how good he is at it. So they say he far does everybody else. He has a book that I'm trying to bring out. It's a coloring book.
Okay.
And it goes with my literacy program. A, alligator adding. B, bumblebee bouncing. He's drawn the alligator, and the alligator is adding. He's drawn the bumblebee. The bumblebee is bouncing. So we want to get that song out and that little coloring book
mother
out.
Raising a child with Asperger's, because I'm sure you came across a lot. What can you tell parents that is facing this right now? Because your baby, you just told me your baby is doing this, and this.
He's driving. We just got him a car. We're so excited for him. Hopefully he'll start dating.
Like, get out of the house. Like, get gone, brother. I want you gone.
Give me some encouraging words to parents who are raising the child with Asperger's, because it's those who don't know, it is definitely something that as a parent and the person who actually is diagnosed with it, it's a challenge in life in itself.
So he went to Davidson Elementary. He went to Burton International. So he went to Detroit Public Schools. And at Davidson, they gave him his own parapro. But that para came from Wayne Risa, where I just mentioned to you, that local ISD.
Okay.
So the local ISD spent their money and gave him his own parapro. And so that was in the classroom. Use the resources that you have. The school district owes you FAPA. The FAPA law, you're supposed to get, education.
Each kid needs to be accommodated for their education.
Accommodate them. So go keep fighting for your kids. There has been times where I've told people, don't show up and no more IEPs for my child. You may not come. Lady said, my boss said he can't have his own parapro. I said, your boss isn't paying for anything. I need you to step up out of this room.
Period.
You see how I went to my
don't even need you here.
Yeah, get out of here. And
because people will push you, and sometimes you have to be. Some say aggressive, but I say assertive.
Assertive for your baby, because nobody is fighting for your baby.
And who else?
Will push your baby right on out to. That's why I'm saying, parents, you have to be there for your children. And as teachers, you see them coming with the kids come with their iPhones, and they've got their Jordan shoes. They got all these wonderful things, but they can't read.
Man.
And I'm saying, right. And I offer tutoring. I charge $25 an hour. I'm gonna tell you what one of the kids told me. Her mom was saying. The little girl said, "Well, my mom and daddy can afford that. They drink Henny every night."
These kids will tell on you. These kids.
They can afford that. So you can afford it. We give our kids things that, what's a great gift? A book is a great gift for Christmas. Every game you give, you can put a little book on top. Okay. My kids was, they only liked those cartoon books with the Wimpy Kids. I gave them all the Wimpy Kids books they could use.
My 13-year-old, when he first started wanting to go into gaming, my thing was okay, you not about to be sitting here just fighting and shooting people. So they came out with this thing called Minecraft.
The kids love that.
I as a parent love it, because my son came to me and said, "Mama, I built you a town." I said, "Did you?" My favorite color, pink. Honey, when my baby turned that TV on, he said, "I want to put it on a big screen for you, Mama." He built me a castle. He showed me where my bathroom was at. He showed me, he said, well, Mama, I know you say security is important. He had me a big old privacy fence. I said, wow.
See what technology does.
So we have to. So it's like, and that's why I want you to speak more on it as an educator, because we complain about going into the Dollar Trees and the Krogers and the Myers, and we're doing our own groceries. We're checking our own self out. But computers is something that we can't deny. It's here. It's taking over. It's our car. Half of our cars are computers.
Yeah. We wanted to have that stuff in there too.
And I was
like,
here.
we don't want to buy it if it doesn't have this.
I mean, half of this world paying $500 for these.
Last time you had
I was tired on this. I'd be like,
yeah, we want it. And it can, and a lot of kids, I do education.com. I pay for that myself for my students because it gives them an opportunity to practice those sounds and numbers and stuff that they're not going to. Sometimes I'm teaching, there's only 15 of us, but if you know these little boys, they're doing some of this.
But it's better sometimes when it's a small. I mean, I ain't gonna say sometimes. I would feel like
majority of the time a smaller group.
When it's a smaller group,
and
you can intimately cater to the individual.
Because
child's
35
needs.
personalities versus 15.
Now you're just there for the money. You're just a career teacher that's just there to get
and
paid for teaching 100 students.
And then out of 35 kids, and I know unfortunately it's always that one that really do need.
In 35, there's 5 or 6.
I was trying to be good with the numbers. 5 or 6. But it's always that one that, it's not that they bad. It's just they not getting that attention.
I have a poem that they're not bad. But they, not only do they lack attention, but they are active.
You said you got a poem?
I have a poem. I don't have it with it. No, I don't. But I do have one called "They're Not Bad" because they're not bad. They're curious. Yeah. And our little black boys, right? Our little black boys. When I look at my crowd, and I might only have 10 on a day because parents, you're not bringing your kids to school. That's a big barrier. You have to bring.
But they can be on time to go to the club before 10 to get in for free, though, right?
Well, one time I went to a party and it was after hours. It was a Hamtramck because I taught for Hamtramck. And I looked around. I said, I could have parent-teachers conference in here.
But you can't get them to be there at 12 o'clock in the afternoon for lunchtime and help me pass these cookies out.
You said it, not me. I wouldn't dare.
I stayed sick. No, and my kids will tell you. My kids will tell you that I was hands-on with. When I got to know the teachers, it was certain teachers that I told them, grab mine up. Choke them, then call me. Don't let them finish. Stop them in their tracks. Choke them up. But Miss Cotton, we can't. I said I gave you permission.
I love teaching in Hamtramck, and one thing I pulled back some of the text messages on Facebook of my students talking to each other now that they're grown. Mm-hmm. And one thing they say is your classroom was like home. Like being in that classroom was like very fun to them. And I love to create an environment where they come to school and they have a good time and they get to know each other and how to get along with one another. Because that's what your
aura is all about. Loving, though. I don't know you from a can of paint. I'm getting to know you. But just when you walked into the room, I can tell that you have a warm spirit. That you're not walking in talking about, look at me, I did this, because I didn't know who you was, but it was just more of a warm and grace that you have.
Thank you.
And I thank you because we don't have that many people out here. We're about to walk into 2024. And everybody is mad. Everybody is upset. Everybody want to be treated a certain way because they hurt. And everybody not realizing that we all are hurt. And I'm sure that you can share something with me on a personal base that you're going through, you know. But I want to say thank you for just not allowing life to harden you, because I'm trying to make sure that I don't, you know. I'm trying to make sure that I can continue on moving the way I was built to move without allowing circumstances and situations to harden me, you know. But when it comes to you and your grace, I know you're a reachable and a teachable person and you don't mind people reaching out to you. How can I get a hold of you? If I seen this video right now, and I want you to say it real slow, because somebody might be trying to get their pen and paper right now.
Okay.
So how do I get a hold of you, Miss Franklin?
If you want to get a hold of me, because maybe you want to know what level your child is reading at. I do reading diagnostics. Maybe you want some tutoring. Maybe you need your child in daycare and you want them to be prepared for kindergarten. Maybe you have a kindergartner who isn't quite prepared to be in kindergarten. You can bring them over to the daycare. I take mostly children who are from DHS. So I take mostly those people who receive aid for daycare. Or if you just need some things on what you can do as a parent to help your child be literate, you want to buy that book, you can go to www.purposefuleducations with an S.com. That's PURPOSEFULEDUCATIONS. Or you can also go to Facebook and find me as Tisha Franklin. You can also reach me at 248-800-9808.
Repeat that number one more time for me.
248-800-9808. I'd be glad to help anybody.
Look at you. You are so awesome.
Thank you.
So let's talk about some more stuff. So I know you're not just doing. I know you got something else going on. Let me give me a small project that you're doing that you're not really like pushing it. It's not something that you like. You're looking for a major to come out, but you don't know what might come out of it. I know you're doing something.
I do. Okay, so I work with Grow Detroit.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of Grow Detroit?
I'm very familiar.
So they're one of the first partnerships I've had with Grow Detroit, where we are building community gardens. And so in back of the daycare, we have a community garden, which I love because the kids, every time they have a seed now, they're like, we're going to plant this. We're going to grow a lemon tree. We're going to grow an apple tree. Here's some seeds. Here's some pumpkin seeds. Can we grow? So I love doing that with them. There's a guy named Rufus McLean. They call him Mew. He's my dad. My mom used to date him when I was young, but he took over being my dad. And he's a farmer from the South, right? Okay. So he's really good at gardening.
He bring you some of them watermelons up here?
Well, mostly he shows us how to do it right. You know, how to compost.
Oh, so he's like really teaching.
He's a gardener.
Ooh.
He's a gardener. When he grew up on the farm, he said he had nothing but wheat grain. So everything else they did he caught a possum, a 6-mile 75 possum. I told him, Dad, you can't eat that.
He is a country bumpkin for real, baby. We running from him and he caught one.
And he caught it. He said he went out there to catch a squirrel. He put an apple out there and the possum went in. I said, well, how are you going to kill it? So he's got his cousin. His cousin said, we're going to hold him by his tail and your dad's going to take a big old stick and hit him in his head and he's going to die. I come over 2 weeks later. They said they've still got pieces of him in the freezer.
And it had to be a big chunky boy.
I don't ask my dad what he cooks anymore.
Be big.
Because he's really good at cooking anything. So when I was little, I wouldn't, ask. I just go ahead and eat it because he's smothered in gravy.
But you know what? Listen, you know what though? I'm not mad at it because my great grandmother, bless her soul, miss you, Grandma Claire, she used to make coon for us.
Absolutely.
I'm one of the oldest great grandbabies, and she used to make it for the younger ones.
Chicken.
But she used to do it to turn into a jerky.
Into jerky?
Yup. As the little ones, we used to walk around with it. Used to be about this long, and we used to hold it like this, and we used to chew on it. We used to walk around. So when we got listen,
now what are you missing? What are you missing?
Mark, you ain't eating no gizzards and no pig feet and no whole mouths and no salt pork.
Well, I had to give up chitlins when they became $30 a bucket. I'm not gonna kill myself for $30.
I gave up chitlins when I was a little girl, and I walked in the house at my grandma's house, and I was like, "Mama, it's stinking here." And my daddy told me, "Hey, you don't want none of that, girl." And when he told me what it was, I was done with it. But it is a pleasure and an honor not only to meet you, but be sitting here with you and talking with you. I thank you as an educator across the board because we need people like you. Again, I want to thank you, but can you say one more time your name and how they can get a hold of you?
Absolutely. I want to thank you all for having me as well. What a privilege and an honor to be in a home in the city of parents from the city with kids in the city, right? And to hear even what you have to say about children and your experience. That's one thing about education is our experience. We bring that into the school, right? We say, don't tell the school this about us. Don't tell the school that about us. But the truth in the matter is the more I know about you, the more I can help you. So if you want to reach Tisha Franklin, even if you're having some problems with your kids and you don't know where to go, I normally know what to do. I normally know how to get there. I'm great at resources. This is a gift God gave me, and I don't take it lightly. You ask something else that I do. I teach children church. Oh my goodness, when they called and asked me to teach children church, I said, God loves me so much, you know. He would
Education
allow
across
me
the
to
board.
do that.
Across the board.
Yeah, and have an
Qualified.
yeah, you know, I actually can do that, and with God's grace and mercy, right? Because I'm nowhere near perfect, but the fact that He allows me to show Him a little of love, that's all we can do for God. He gives us everything, and only thing we can do is action and deed, what we know how to do to show Him our appreciation, right? We can't give Him nothing. He got everything. So if you want to reach me, I'm at 248-800-9808, or you can go to my website, www.Purposeful Education. School of Purpose is located at 2328 East 7 Mile Road, across the street from Solomon's Temple, inside of the Chosen Generation. There are 2 schools inside of there. There is a GSRP program inside of there that you can come for free. And I help sometimes with that program as well. And then there is the School of Purpose, where we create children of purpose in Suite 4.
It's a pleasure and an honor again, Ms. Franklin.
Thank you so
Anything else you
much.
want to say,
You
Mark?
took it away. I mean, you know, you did a damn good. You know,
I appreciate
interview
you,
answer and
Detroiters.
everything.
Appreciate you.
Yay.
You tuned
And
in
yeah,
to
we'll
7
keep in
Miles.
contact with you because, like I said, I do, you know, have some things that I want to discuss with you about my kids and things that I want to put together for them. So, you know, you're a perfect person for all of that. So I'm glad that I met you, and I'm glad that you're here.
Most
And I'm
definitely.
glad that you do what you do.
Me too. You know how we met?
No.
Mark, do you remember how we met? You know how I know you?
Mm-mm.
Because Mark was doing a story.
Okay.
He was doing a story at my apartment building.
Oh, the Jeffersonians?
Oh.
Wow.
And then I found out that was 2 days later. That was my cousin.
That was his part. It was very,
Yeah,
very
I
personal
wrote
with
that
that. I was at work around the corner. I'm
Were
the account
you?
supervisor for 1300. Yeah. Yeah. Very.
Wow.
Wow.
That
We're going to be seeing you again, Miss Franklin.
Oh, yeah, you're part of the family.
Oh,
now.
yeah, it's
You know
all
where to go at. You know where to go at.
What's up? Thank y'all so much. I
So until
appreciate
next
it.
time, sister, like I said, pleasure having you in the building. I'm glad that you came and had this conversation with us. You know what I mean?
Me
And supporting the
too.
platform, and I know this is not going to be the last time we see your face on the air
Most
with us.
definitely.
Thank you.
So-
Thank y'all for having me. I appreciate
And blessings
it.
on all of your endeavors.
And blessings on you
definitely.
and your endeavor and what you're doing here, bringing us some news
Mark.
that we might not normally
Yeah,
get.
Mark be doing big things for the city,
Yeah, I
man.
appreciate that. And you were with Master P. I said, he'll get Master P. Don't tell Master P where he live at. He could have waited till I get through his walk to tell me where he lives. I said, what about Master P?
You so silly. She's so silly.
You know, Mark also has a 7 Mile radio museum exhibit inside of the historical museum.
Yes. I want to
Yeah.
say, because I was there probably around August. Because I seen that exhibit. But I didn't know you then yet. Mark.
Okay.
So I can't see if I
You seen them big
remember
old
if I
eyes on the
seen
picture,
it.
didn't you? Up there?
Right. But I seen, I'm trying to see whether it was on the news, because it was a little,
hit the news,
it
too.
was a little
It was on the news,
clipping.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm on the news. Been on the news 10 something.
Yeah,
Yep.
so it was a little of that, and I was like, okay. And then when you hit when she fell, that's you all were just doing that prayer,
I
right?
don't even want to talk about
But you
that
were just
with
doing
you.
that prayer, right?
They were
And
doing
I
the prayer.
had just started in prayer too. Like I had just texted the ladies from church, and put it in our little prayer thing too. So they had probably just started praying as well.
Well, you know how God put us together for a reason, and unfortunately, you know. But with all you guys praying, I know that she is in heaven shining down on us.
I hope so.
And
I
everything
felt
is a blessing
something,
around.
And then you went back on with another lady who was closer, who was there, like closer. She was saying that she had seen her eyes, and she could tell that she was.
Yeah,
But I had never seen her in the building. I don't remember ever seeing her in the building, really.
Okay.
But I have a neighbor who said he knew her, and he probably did because he sits down in the lobby a lot. That's where he sits if you come home.
Okay.
He's always sitting down there, so he probably did see her and know her really well.
Well, God put us together for so many reasons, whether they're a moment of grace or a moment of sadness or a moment of happiness. But it's a reason why God put you guys together, and I'm glad you guys were able to meet
Me
because
too.
we need educators
Me
in our
too.
network base.
Yes, and I got to get my name out here a little bit more so people will know I just want parents to know that, you know, after a certain time, they're not teaching your kids how to read anymore. And unfortunately, our children are going by the wayside.
And we'll talk to you about it a whole lot next time you come down again. Most definitely. Thank you for coming and all of that.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. Y'all got more in
Warning. You are now tuned in to 7 Mile Radio. 7 Mile